Welcome back. Today we are continuing to talk about graph using slope-intercept form. Now, if you remember from yesterday, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. So b is where the line crosses the y-axis, so right here it's at 1. Our slope here is 1/3, so we go up 1 over 3. So this one says write the equation in slope-intercept form, then identify the slope and the y-intercept. So here is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So what we need to do is we need to get it in this form. How we're going to do that is we need to get y by itself. So I need to move everything over to the other side that's not y. So I'm going to subtract 6x on both sides. So we get 2y equals, now we can't combine negative 6x and 14 because 14 doesn't have an x. So we get negative 6x, and because 14 is positive, it's plus 14. Now to get y by itself, we have 2 touching the y, so I'm going to divide by 2. Now when I divide by 2, I divide everything by 2. I get y equals negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3x plus 14 divided by 2, which is 7. Now if we're looking at y equals mx plus b, our m looks to me like it's negative 3, and our b looks like 7. Now this problem, it says y plus 4 equals 0. So we're still trying to get y by itself even if we don't have any x's. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4. So that gets rid of those, and we have y equals negative 4. Now, if we're looking for our m, we're looking for a number in front of our x, but we don't have an x, so our m here is 0. Our b, though, is negative 4. So this one has a slope of 0. This would be a line that goes straight across horizontally. Alright, now we're going to graph these. So first we have to identify the slope and the y-intercept, then we can graph it. Well, before we do any of that, we need to make sure that y is by itself. So we got to get it into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract my x to move it over to the other side. Then what I'll have left is negative 3y equals negative x plus 6. Now the 6 is plus because it's positive. So what we're going to do then is divide by negative 3. Dividing everything by negative 3. I get y equals, now two negatives when we're dividing make a positive, and I can put a 1 in front of my x. So we're going to have 1 over 3x, and plus 6 divided by negative 3 gives me a negative 2. So our m then, for this problem, is 1/3, and our b is negative 2. Now when we graph, we look to see where our y-intercept is. That is where we begin. So we're going to begin on the y-axis down negative 1, negative 2. That's where we begin. The m, remember, stands for move. That's how we move. So we are going to go up 1 because that's our rise, and to the right 3 because that's our run. So up 1 to the right 1, 2, 3. Up 1 to the right 1, 2, 3. Now if we wanted to go opposite, we would go down 1 to the left 1, 2, 3. So then if I draw a line between those, I'll have a positive line going through negative 2. Our equation over here, we have a negative 6x minus 4y equals 8. So I'm going to get this 6x over to the other side by adding. Get negative 4y equals 6x plus 8. Divide by negative 4. Y equals, so we can't divide this, but we can simplify it. So I'm going to take out 2 from each. So I'll get 3 and a negative 2. X minus 8 divided by negative 4 gives me negative 2. So our m is 3 over negative 2. And our b is negative 2. So again, we're going to begin at negative 2. So we're going to make a dot right there at negative 2. Now our slope, we are going up 3 and back to the left 2 because it's a negative. So up 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2. The opposite of that would be go down 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 2. So now we have a line that's going negative because we have a negative slope. Alright, now we need to tell if these two lines are parallel. So what we're looking for is to find if they have the same slope. So I'm going to make a line in between here so I know we have separate problems. Here, this one's already pretty easy because we already have y by itself. So we know that the m, or the slope, is what it comes in front of the x. So our m is negative 1/3. Here we have x minus 3y equals 6. So we don't have the y by itself. So we can move the x over by subtracting. So we get 3y equals negative x plus 6. Divide that by 3, that by 3, and that by 3. Now we can put a 1 in between the x and the negative. So we get y equals a negative 1 over 3x plus 2. This makes our m negative 1/3. Now if the lines have the same slope, that means they're parallel. To me it looks like they have the same slope, so these two lines are parallel. Okay, let's take a look at these. Here we have to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract 4x. So we get negative 8y equals negative 4x plus 8. Divide by negative 8. So we get y equals, now negative 4 divided by negative 8. We can't really do that, but we can simplify it. Two negatives are going to equal a positive, and if we take 4 out of both, we'll get a positive 1/2 x. And 8 divided by negative 8 is going to give us a negative 1. So our slope here then is 1/2. Here our y is already by itself, we have a number in front of our x, which means we know our slope. Our slope is 0.5. Now we got to see if those are the same. I have 1/2 and 0.5. That can be written as 1/2. 0.5 and 1/2 are the same thing, so these two lines are also parallel. Alright, that's it for today.